Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the JKWD podcast. Hope you are awesome. Kelvin, you know better than to take a sip of coffee while I'm doing an intro, but you got away with it that
I
time.
almost forgot. Well, no, I did forget. Yes, and you're right. And that could have been a very, very dangerous thing because the coffee this morning is particularly hot and having it exit via my nose would have been a bad thing. So, thank you for saving me today. I
For
won't
now.
expect that every day. Oh, my goodness. Good morning, Mr. Shear.
Good morning, sir. Well, you know what? It's May 22nd, 2020 as we were recording this, and it comes out on June the 1st. New month. And man, you were saying earlier while we were talking before we hit record, things are a little different than we expected.
Yes, sir. Way different. Kind of like going for a plane ride and then thinking, oh, good thing I had that extra parachute. Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah. But interesting stuff. So
We're brought to you today, as usual, our friends at Kettle and Fire who make delicious bone broth and soup. And what they do is they take the animal, they take the bones of an animal, say a cow or a chicken, they put them in a big pot with a bunch of organic veggies and herbs, and they boil that for 10 hours or more and just let all the flavor come together. All the flavor.
the flavor.
And this will help with your recovery, give you a little more collagen in them bones, give you something a little different to sip on other than your tea and coffee if you choose to take your broth that way, or just build your own soup, you know? I like to take a little bit of their beef broth, some mushrooms, maybe some stew beef, diced onions. Yeah,
You're making me
there you
hungry, Mr.
go.
Chef.
Yeah, we do record about noon, don't we?
Oh
But it's really about
yeah, guess
lunchtime.
it's
Well, you
guess
can
it's
get
guess it's
10%
past the
off.
time. Yeah.
You can get 10% off of your bone broth, or you get one of their pre-made soups by going to kettleandfire.com. When you go check out, use code ButterHumanhood. That's kettleandfire.com, kettleandfire.com. Use code BetterHumanhood when you check out, and they'll give you 10% off. Cue the music. Welcome to the Josh and Kelvin World Domination Podcast, where we talk about better humanhood and teach you how to dominate your world. You ready? Here we go. So, Kelvin, happy June, man. How are you?
Hey, I am awesome. I'm fantastic. I gave myself a haircut and I don't look like I'm homeless anymore. Well, unless you look at the back of my head.
I was going to say, should I
didn't
ask
do
you
very good in
to
the back.
should I ask you to swivel that chair around
No,
in a 180? No,
no,
okay.
the chair must stay here. Must stay here. But life is good. And the day we're recording it is an absolutely beautiful day in upstate New York. And it has been a beautiful day for a couple, 3 days. So, and on top of that, the trash men took everything I put on the curb this morning. They didn't leave nothing to recycle. I'm like, how nice. Because sometimes they get real picky about what they want to put on the truck. That's a whole other conversation. But anyway, so it's good. All I got to do is bring up my containers, start over. Life is good. I got nothing to complain about.
Good stuff.
How
Good
about you?
stuff. I've been, well, we're getting into humid season here.
Humid? But I thought you
Humid.
liked that.
Well, I like the hot, and I don't mind the humid.
Mm.
Um, and I've been running more, and I got a lot of cleaning out of the garage done this week. And eventually, I know I'm going to have to do the attic, but it's real hot up there because there ain't no ventilation. It's just
Gotcha.
half a crawl space with a little bit of platform, and we got everything kind of shoved around up there. But at some point, we're going to have to organize it a little bit.
Go ahead. You like that kind of thing.
I don't mind that kind of thing. That's not something I can do late at night though, because the dog will just bark at all the noises that are coming up. Man, yeah, it's a good thing we don't release video. So I don't know how I didn't manage to break up laughing at you looking for the mute button right there.
I learned some stuff because I can do Control A, and now I learned actually I can stay muted and just hit the space bar when I want to talk.
Oh, nice! I did not know that.
Tell you what, we've been doing a lot of stuff with Zoom lately, and there's all kinds of little tidbits we didn't know about this stuff. But yeah, so it's good. But I talk too much, so if I hit if I hit the space bar every time I wanted to talk, then it would just get noisy.
Click, 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 click.
But anyway, it is June. It is wonderful, and you said you got a marathon or something coming up, right? Did you tell me you were?
I registered for a half in November, so I'm starting to run again. I don't actually start really training until I'm 20 weeks out, which will be another few weeks. Mm-hmm. This is assuming that we're doing races this year. Mm. But they do, they did kind of set a contingency aside because, running in crowds with COVID. I decided to take my chance.
It'd be all gone by then.
Yeah, I figured I'd take my chance and see if by November we'd be out and doing stuff again. But who knows? That could be second wave type stuff.
I hear stories about that.
Yeah, so we've never had this particular coronavirus out there before, so we don't know what the future holds. But speaking of, a lot of people have been stuck inside for a couple of months, and they're starting to emerge.
Yes.
Central New York started opening recently. Georgia started opening about a month ago now.
That long?
Yeah, the end of April. We're still not going very many places, but we did eat outdoors at a restaurant. I haven't gone to the gym or anything. And I figure a place where people are breathing hard and sweating indoors is probably not
a circulated air. Yeah, that's
probably not where I want to be right now. They went hands free for their check-in. They went to cell phone only.
Oh, really?
But, that doesn't help when you're climbing on a treadmill that somebody else used, right?
Correct.
Or picking up some dumbbells that somebody else used.
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
Man, things are so different than they were a year ago.
Things are so different than they were 4 months ago. We did not see being here, as you were saying. We did not see being in this place where we are now. What tools did we neglect to take into this ride that we can pick up along the way? If you only have one tool that you can pick, and you're going to jump out of an airplane, a parachute's probably going to be your choice.
We're assuming I actually have to jump out of the plane. I don't.
Yeah.
I spent 20 years in the Air Force and avoided that. But yeah, I understand. Well, the thing is,
but a parachute is definitely not going to be your choice if you're going for a run. That'll slow you down by a lot.
Mm-hmm.
especially if it's open.
Yeah, no lie. Well, we figure that most people never go through the contingency plan. Gee, what happens if a pandemic happens next week and I can't do anything I've been doing for the last, 20 years? We don't think about stuff like that. So now we probably do, especially since we're not out of the pandemic yet. But the bigger problem coming out of this pandemic is, well, we're still here, but we still have to move forward. So what are we going to use? What are we going to
Right.
use now?
So we've
And
got. Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, that's all. It's like, so, and that takes time because a lot of people, I still know a lot of people who pretty much what they've done is going, oh my God, my life is ruined and I can't do anything else. But that's not really necessarily true. If you sit down with the focus of finding what you've got that you can use to move forward and make something work, it's time for new ideas. It's time to give yourself credit for having more capability than you thought you had before, just because you didn't have to use it. And play, we're really, really good at kids. What if is a really good game to play?
Yeah, it really is. And I get that, particularly at the beginning of, and I don't like the phrase social distancing because it's really physical distancing, right?
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know why the phrase social distancing hit, but we're not social distancing. When we go out and walk our street, we talk to our neighbors. We do it from 6, 8, 10 feet apart. So we're physically distanced, but we're still talking to each other. We're still being social with them. We're still being social by Zoom, but we're physically separated, so we're physically distanced. But anyway, that's that's just, it's a figment
Technical.
of language. Yeah, it's a figment of language.
Yeah.
But the first few weeks of this, there was obviously fear. There's obviously confusion. We had a lot of different people telling us different stuff, mostly because we're in an age where we require constant input, or we ask for constant input, and your scientific study doesn't move that fast. Like, it moves pretty quick. We learn a lot over the course of a couple of weeks or a couple of months, but we want new information every couple of hours. And so we got all kinds of confusing stuff right at the beginning of this for a few weeks. It's still a little confusing depending on where you're looking, where you're listening. But I think we've been doing it long enough that for most people, the overarching fear and uncertainty, if it's not gone, it could be gone. Yeah, it's time to refocus and see what tools you have to move on, either modified from how you were before or completely changed. Some businesses are closing. You're not going back to work there. They just announced that a bunch of Denny's restaurants in your area, owned by the same group, are shutting down. You know what? If you were working at one of those Denny's, you're not going back to work. Sorry, you got to find something new, even if it's another restaurant. Okay. If you were a business that sent all your employees home to work remotely, hey, maybe you don't need that $7,000 a month commercial lease. Maybe it's time to just drop that and let your employees work from home and get them together, once a week or once a month, and actually, you can spend half that money and throw a heck of a party for them. Have a nice meal, a nice like full day retreat, full 2-day retreat, even for for less than the cost that you were paying just for your lease. But we as individuals, it might be time to sit down, see where we've been, see where we want to go, and how to get there.
Yes. And most of us, me in particular, I'll say me in particular because I can say that, and I won't get mad at me for saying it. But I've played with a lot of ideas and stuff. When you don't have deadlines, when you don't have stuff you have to do by a certain time, you tend to not do them in the timeline. I've been thinking about, well, what could I do? Well, I could do this. If I'd have thought something the week before the pandemic hit, my what if was done in 5 days. Suddenly I can't do that stuff anymore. I can't leave my house to do the stuff I was going to do. All of that stuff. But now, having done that, I say, okay, so this is what's been happening for the past few months now. We can look out and see all kinds of things that have come our way. Doing just a little research, we can see how people have adapted to various scenarios. And having looked at that, and if you can't see them directly, if you just Google almost anything on the web, you can find out. Like you said, a lot of companies aren't going back to work anymore because they can do this stuff by Zoom now. Zoom used to be a good vehicle, but then everybody started using it. They picked up 2 million customers in 2 months, in January and February. People started showing all kinds of problems. There was some security stuff. They fixed it. So now, they've got this. They haven't. So now we have another vehicle that has been fine tuned, and it didn't raise the price. Wow, that's really freaking amazing. But we have a whole different set of tools that we know about, most of us, that we can use to do things we need to do. So it's just kind of time to re-inventory, see what we've got for technology, see what we've got for personal skills, see what dreams we need, because, pretty sure an awful lot of people, the dreams that they had, they just saw going right on down the tubes. They may not even have realized they had that dream until they started thinking about they lost the ability to do it. So refocus is a really good thing right now.
And remember that loss of one dream is not the end all, right?
Correct.
We talk about having a reset a lot. Even when you accomplish your goals, now you're back at another 0 point.
Yeah,
you need to have a what next.
Mm-hmm.
James Victore writes about that in his book Feck, Perfuction. He set himself, when he was about 20, he set himself a fairly high goal for 35. And not only did he hit that, he far exceeded it. Problem is, he didn't have a plan for what happened after that, and found himself floundering, into his 40s towards 50, and he kind of had to reinvent himself because he had forgotten to set himself up with something new. So yeah, maybe you were going to start something right before this hit or during it hit, and you had to modify, or maybe you just kind of entered a fear space when this hit. I know for me, we talked about this in some of the early quarantine episodes. I work for 10 different. I'm going to work for 12 different news sites, but 10 are more active than the other two. And everybody had to do 10, 12 stories a day. So I was going in for an 8-hour shift and being hit with 120, 150 stories every night. And then I still had to figure out what was going on locally. So I had to read my local stuff too, so I could keep my own family informed. And I was way burned out. That's almost 1,000 stories a week I was reading when this first hit. And it was way too much information.
Yeah.
And now that I've had time to settle on back out, I miss the heck out of baseball. That's one of my spring and summer pastimes, is following my Red Sox. And the world seems less normal without sports. But that doesn't mean that we have to let the information flowing in on COVID rule our lives. It really can be time to just keep yourself safe, keep yourself informed. Um, the same way you want to know if there's a tornado coming, you should know if um, you should have some idea of what the guidelines are in your area, and whether you're still in a spike or um, that kind of thing. But it doesn't have to be your whole focus. It's time to focus on what you want to be doing when everybody leaves their house again. Frankly,
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been very fortunate here where I am, because it's been our neighborhood is wonderful, kind of like your neighborhood.
Yeah.
But we do have more, Main Street access than you do. But just walking around the neighborhood has been okay. We don't have so many people that we're just bumping into people all the time. So we've done that. So, but I know I was going to say something really important. I could just feel it in my bones. But I mean, we're back to that now. I turned the news off right away after, me. I've been a no news guy since like 1989, and stuff was flying so hot and heavy here. We didn't know what was going on, and there were people who were just glued to whatever's going to come next. I'm like, you know what? I got the basics now. I know I need to wear a mask. I know I need to wear gloves. I need to know. I know I need to wash my hands often. This is and not stand next to somebody who's coughing and wheezing and gagging, right? I got what I need to know right now. I don't have to watch 24 hours a day of whatever's coming next, and everybody's arguing and fighting, and we could have done. I don't need that stuff. I need to know what I need to protect myself right now and my family. Then turn that stuff off, because what it served to do for most everybody else is run them into an incredible depression.
Yeah.
And I'm not good with depression. Which I just get rid of no.
I can spiral right down.
Yeah. So, and then of course, then I got to watch the people who I know who are close to me who do that, and make sure they're okay. And some of them were okay, some of them weren't okay. Some didn't want me to tell them that they didn't need to worry about nothing. I'm okay. I do what I can. But anyway, but we're back out here now. So, like, the question is, what's next? What are we going to do next? And if you sit around and you're like, there's nothing I can do, you're probably not thinking of everything.
Right.
So, I mean, the first thing we need to do really is actually give ourselves permission to have another idea. Because a lot of us are locked into that one thing we did or have been doing, and we don't think we can do anything outside of that. And then we trap ourselves. Being of an entrepreneurial mindset. I mean, I know a lot of entrepreneurs. These guys just went crazy when this thing started. Oh, here's a new opportunity. How do we beat this game? If you're in a chess match, right? What do you do? What do you do when somebody? Oh, look, check.
Right. How do you outflank that?
How do you get out of that?
The other, another way to think of it was, what do you wish you had, within our guidelines, within, our distancing, stay home guidelines, what resources do you wish you had? There's probably an opportunity there from an entrepreneurial standpoint. But even, so like I've been a W-2 employee most of my life. But I come at being an employee with an entrepreneurial mindset. I'm always looking for new processes and more efficient ways to do things, and ways to help out the group, and to lead, even though my title is not a leadership title. And what do you, if you have that mindset, what can you take to your job or to a potential employer? If you're working at a place that might not reopen, or if you're working at a place that's opening with a much different look than it had, what do what can you bring? What can you think of? And what do you want from your life? It's not just about work and entrepreneurship and making money. We've entirely or almost entirely overhauled the way we eat through this.
The way you
Eat.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
yes, you did.
Because we didn't go to a grocery store, got a little iffy there for a little while. So we re-upped our butcher box subscription. So they're sending us grass-fed organic meat once a month, and we got hooked up with local Farmbag, and we're getting organic veggies and some locally made bread and some locally made meats and some locally made pastas every week. And we've got our buddies over at Billy's Botanicals, are doing another farm bag type thing where they're teaming up to bring people a variety of herbs, veggies, and they sometimes take the boat out and they'll haul in some fish or some they'll show up with some wreck fish or some shrimp and clams and whatever they can pull out of the river. So almost everything we're eating is now locally grown or fished and organic. And every now and then we make a run out to the deli. We would do some pickup because we wanted our favorite place to still be in business when we get through this. And every now and then my sister will drop by some Dairy Queen.
Well, there is some of that.
Yeah, but we're going to the grocery store once every 3 weeks now for a small trip. We're instead of spending $250-$300 a week, we're spending $100 every 3 weeks at the grocery store. It's so that feels good. We're getting better quality food in our system, and we set up subscription boxes for, like I said, for meat. We set up a subscription box for K cups. So we're getting coffee mailed on a monthly schedule, and we can always add locally roasted coffee to our farm bag if we want. If we want some more, and that's the long version of we changed the way we eat. What can you what else in your life can you refocus and start anew?
Dude, look, I'm a bachelor, so Subway's my friend. And plus I a little cooking. So I haven't done a lot there. Do miss some of the restaurants. And look, Denny's just went away, so I'm like, my son and I, that was our annual, whenever either one of us has a birthday, which we do each year, strangely
every
enough.
year. Yeah, comes around.
Yeah. So we'd get together at Denny's for lunch or breakfast, and it's like, wow, what are we gonna do now? Guess we're gonna have to keep an eye on whoever buys those buildings that Denny's had to vacate.
Or find another.
Yeah, that's it.
Local spot.
But as far as the rest of it, I'm retired Air Force, so I had some money coming in for that, so I wasn't totally destitute when things got really crappy. But otherwise, I've been entrepreneurial. So, and when you go entrepreneurial, if you just allow yourself to think that, I know some people who no, I have to work for somebody else, and I got over that pretty quick when I retired. Because when I retired, I was like, you know what? I never intend to work for another human being again as long as I live. Not like that.
Right.
I would much rather do an entrepreneurial thing, and the thing I like about the entrepreneurial though is that I don't get to blame the boss when something doesn't go right.
Right.
I got to take responsibility for it myself, which I wasn't all that fond of for a while, I got to say. But now is probably as good a time as any to look at entrepreneurial things because a lot of people have a lot of needs. My email box has been filled with all kinds. I get more stuff than I have time to read. I just had to shut it off. But there's a lot of ideas out there and there's a lot of stuff that you can do. And, the whole thing about entrepreneurial stuff is you're filling a need for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have talents and skills that can help somebody. Pretty much we narrow those things down, focus them in a little bit, attach a price tag to them. Chances are it's going to be less than the other person was paying, to begin with. But almost all of us have skills for something, even if something so menial as cutting grass. My favorite thing to do on the planet, right? I bought a brand new lawnmower, and luckily my ex-neighbor came over with a riding mower, and I haven't even had a chance to take that puppy out of the box yet. I'm okay with that for now, but he may not be over all the time. But anyway, we all have skills. So I guess the biggest thing about where we are right now is like, you got to start thinking, what is it I can do? We have to let ourselves get out of the box of, I don't know nothing. I don't have any skills. I can't learn. I can't, because almost all of us have something we can contribute to the greater good, I think. And sometimes thinking about that helps us to get some other ideas. And generally speaking, once you figure out something you want to do, you can probably find help on how to do it.
It's true. Would you live in a time where it's easy to get all kinds of information, including instruction?
Yep.
Here's something we did this week, and it wasn't money making for us, but if it gets the idea generator going,
Mm-hmm.
We had a 9-year-old down the street who wanted to save up some money for a birthday present for her mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so she came over with a price list, certain chores she would do, $5 for dusting, $7 for vacuuming. And we said, you know what? Here's what we did. Yeah, everybody's still kind of tensed and nervous at what we've been talking about this episode. So I went to the grocery store and I got $10 worth of cookies. And she came over and we had her write out some cards saying, hey, we're thinking about you. Love your neighbors. Put them in little sandwich bags, put some cookies in the sandwich bags with the cards, and went up and down the street and delivered them to everybody. So some houses we knew had a couple of kids, so we did extra bags for them. And we got to see a couple of. We actually got to see at least one neighbor open her mailbox and say, "Hey, you have you opened your mailbox? Somebody brought cookies." They didn't know that we were the ones behind it. So we were just like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool. I enjoy your day."
Awesome.
So it brought happiness. Somebody left us a thank you card.
Cool.
So it's smile making is also a money making opportunity.
Yep.
If you look at what Rainn Wilson's doing with Soul Pancake, Soul
Pancake.
They
had Kid President.
Yes, Kid President was theirs.
I remember coming to visit you and meeting a lady who lived next door to him.
Right? Yeah, yep, I remember that.
That was cool.
Yep, because you were wearing a Kid President shirt. That's how that
I
came up.
was, wasn't I? Yeah. We know him. He lives next door. Oh, yeah, sure, right. Oh, look, pictures. Oh, look, it's you and Kid President, son of a gun.
Yep.
That was cool. That was really cool.
Well, anyway, so to bring this into some sort of focused ending, um, what can you sit down and what can you dump out of your brain and what can you focus on over the next just for an hour? What do you want your life to look like when things open back up, even if things are going to look a little different? What do you want your life to look like when new normal is in full swing? What tools do you need? What tools do you already have? And how do you move forward?
And that is the question, or those are the questions. And, you might be surprised what you come up with. Because once you start looking, the brain will deliver some more. Oh,
It's
we'll
true.
look for ideas. So when you sit and think, I have nothing to contribute, then your brain gives you exactly what you asked for. But when you start asking it's neuroscience. The brain answers a question you ask it.
That's right.
Don't ask it, why am I such a slug? Don't do that, because it will give you reasons. What do I have to contribute? What do I have to contribute? That is a good question. So
what do you have to contribute? Let us know at jkwdpodcast.com. It's where you can get show notes and contact us. Go to kettleandfire.com. Use code BetterHumanhood at checkout for 10% off. Go get your daily dose of positive vitamin K daily.com, and we will see you next time.
bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. Show notes and more at jkwdpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends, and we will see you next week. Bye. A Better Humanhood production.